Greetings, mathematicians. Today our lesson is decimals as equal division, and we will be on page 14L and 14R. And I have gone through and put a frame in place. Let's make sure we are numbering the bottom corners. This is my 14L, the other side is 14R. And let's zoom in on this title and enter an objective. All right, let's go ahead and put in the date. And our objective is all right, check out this objective with me. I will understand that decimals are equal divisions of a whole number. Now, some of these terms directly connect to Unit 1. We had talked about fractions being division. We talked about fractions making up a whole number. And this time, we're really going to be focusing in on how does a decimal connect with fraction, or what we know about fractions. All right, so read it one more time with me. I will understand that decimals are equal divisions of a whole number. All right, and we're going to go and look at the primary vocabulary of this lesson, which is the word decimal. Say it with me, decimal. All right, if we look at the prefix deci, it actually stands for 10. So deci equals 10. If you think about a 10-year period as a decade, that's where that root comes from. Originally, the month December was part of the 10-month Roman calendar. So for quite a long time, that root has been connected to 10. All right. So, and when we talk about decimals, we're talking about the numbers right? Zero. Now, when we're talking about, well, not really the right of zero, the right of the ones place. So deci equals 10. We're talking about smaller than 1. And I want to take a look at this little illustration here. So this is my, let me zoom out. I know there were some complaints about not seeing the whole screen. So this is my decimal point. Everything to the left is our whole numbers. And that would be our ones place. That would be our tens place. Now, when we're talking about the decimal places, there's something that changes. We only have a ones place to the left. When we go to the right, we jump directly to tenths. You say it with me? Tenths place. Notice we have a suffix on the end, THS. All of the places right of the decimal will end with THS. And we don't have ones, but we do have a tenths. Then we're going to multiply. It'll be 10 times tenth. So this is our hundredths. So we actually have the word hundred and then THS, which is hundredths. And then we get even bigger. We have thousandths. And when I say bigger, I actually mean smaller, because our first section is, let's see, a tenth would be, example of a tenth would be 0.1, which is equivalent to 1 over 10. We're saying this place is 1/10 of 1. All right, next, we're going to look at hundredths. That'd be 0.01. And that as a fraction would be 1 over 100. We're saying 100, if we had 0.01, that is 1/100th of 1. Let's go to the next one. And we can keep going and going and going, but in 5th grade, we're really focusing in on these 3 spaces, the tenths, the hundredths, and the thousandths. So 0.001, and that is equivalent to 1 over 1,000. Now, there are some visual cues that can help you figure out how to interpret these. So if we're talking about tenths, look at the number there, 0.1. If you remove the decimal and reverse the number, you'd have 10 hundredths. If you remove the decimal and reverse the number, you'd have 100. And same goes for 1,000th. What we're looking for right now is ways to recognize what the value is as a decimal and as a fraction. And that's going to really help us get to that focus point of understanding them. So let's take a look at a few examples on the next page. All right. So as I had mentioned before, 1/10 is equal to 0.1. Now, going back to this being an equal division of a whole number. So in Unit 1, we talked about 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5/10. I need 5 more. So if I added all of these up, I would get to 10 over 10 or 1. This time around, I'm saying 1 is in the 10th place. So literally, if we can figure out what place this number is in, we can name the fraction. So 1 is in the 10th place, so it is equal to 1/10. So if I have, and I don't know if I have enough space here, so I'm going to do an equation left to right. If I add up 0.1 plus 0.1 plus 0.1 plus 0.1, whoops, 1, 2, 3, 4, let's do another, 0.1, 0.1, let's add those up. So if I went left to right, came on down here, I would equal 1 whole. So here's the connection. What we learned in the past, what we're focusing on now. Now here's the connection that we need to make. If 1/10 is equal to 0.1 or 0 and, we want to get used to saying and when we're talking about the decimal point. What would 4/10 be worth? 4/10. So that if I read it top to bottom, I know that my 4 needs to be in the 10th place, which is right next to my decimal. A decimal can't live on its own like this. We need to put a 0 in front of it. Many of the computer programs we use will only recognize it. And there goes Winston. What are you doing, bud? Get out of here. All right. 4/10, 0.4. Easy peasy. So let's move on down. Let's look at another example. 1 over 100th. So 1 will be in the hundredths place, and that is 2 spaces next to that 0. 0.01. Do you notice a pattern emerging? One extra zero, two zeros. We need to make that recognition. So if this is equivalent, what would? Well, let's go with 9 hundredths look like. The 9 is in the what place? Hundredths. So it would be 0.09. Now here's the thing. The big difference between tenths and hundredths, we can actually have a double-digit numerator. So another example, let's put it to the right here. If I went with 11 hundredths, if I had 11 parts of 100, the last digit would go into the hundredths place. So it would look like this, 0 and 11 hundredths. So the last digit goes in the hundredths place. All right. Let's go a little bit bigger now. 1 over 1,000, 0 point. How many zeros are in there? 3. So I'm going to need 2 more zeros. And then my 1 is in the thousandths place. Excellent. Let's do another single digit. What about 8 thousandths? That would be equivalent to 0.008. Cool. Let's go with 18 thousandths. Again, 8 is going to be in the thousandths place. So we're going to go 0.018. Thousandths place is determined by the denominator. Let's go one more. Let's go with a larger numerator. Let's make it to the hundredths place. How about 180 thousandths? Which one will be in the thousandths place? The 1, the 8, or the 0? Point something, something, something. I would simply write it 180. So this would be 180 thousandths. It's also equal to 18 hundredths. This is pretty much it. All right, so I have an assignment waiting for you in Think Central. Unit 2, lesson number 1, PMT homework. It's really classwork. They're calling it homework. So let's go ahead and access that now, and then we will share out live and do some of these conversions ourselves. All righty, thanks a lot.